In this video we take a look at the weather system in the new Forza Motorsport and see, well, whether it can pull it off. See what I did there? Now, I do like a good weather effect in my racing games, and Forza has 16 of them. Well, okay, let's be a little bit honest here. It doesn't really have 16 in my opinion, because a few of them are just carbon copies of a different name, and then they don't really add anything different. I mean, you don't really need 4 different cloud settings when they don't really change anything else. So realistically I'd say we have 10 or 11 different weather settings, but do those 11 weather settings add anything more to the game? This one obviously is called Clear Skies, and for obvious reason. It's a clear sky and it looks alright. It does what it says on the tin. And next up we have Mostly Clear, which as far as I can tell doesn't change anything in the game apart from slightly different visuals for your skybox. Yes, it looks okay, and that's about it really. Next up we have Partly Cloudy, which again really just changes the skybox more than anything, with obviously the addition of more clouds. But with this one you do get some cloud shadows on the track, which I quite like, that you'll travel while the sun, I guess, is shining on a certain part of the track. It's bright, or you're in shadow, and you do get a nice little transition as you travel through them. Doesn't change anything as far as driving styles are concerned, but visually, yeah, that's a nice little dynamic. This one is called Looming Clouds, and to be honest, apart from the obvious cloudy visuals, I couldn't really tell much of a difference between this and the last one. Maybe the colours seem a little bit duller and a little bit more subdued to give the impression of there being more cloud, but honestly with this one, yes, it looks nice, but I don't think it really changed anything from the last one. This one is quite simply called Cloudy, and well, it's cloudy, but it changes the whole atmosphere of the game. This one, the track looks darker, everything looks a little bit overcast and a little bit grey. It's very much like when you look out of your window at home and you think, oh, it might rain later on today. You really do get that sense of feeling with this weather setting, but yeah, it could rain at any time, and yeah, I like that. I think they've done well with this one. It looks nice. This one is called Thunderclouds, and well, they are. It looks very dark, very gloomy. I think if you were actually in a race and your game started to look like this, you'd seriously consider coming into the pits at your next stop and putting in the wets just in case, because it really does give you that sense of it is going to rain at any minute. Yeah, I like this one too. And this one is Thin Haze, and this is the first time that the weather effects in Forza really change your environment. The others were nice, but they were just visual skybox and some slight changes to the colouring of your surroundings. With this one they use a volumetric fog to very good effect to really give you that sense that it is going to be getting foggy soon, or maybe it's an early morning and you've got that mist. It looks really good, and especially when you transition from a slightly darker patch of the track to a lighter patch, the fog really does catch the light very nicely, as you'll see here. And yeah, they've done this well. I like this one. And next up we have Patchy Fog, and it really is, with some clever use of the volumetric fog that it used earlier in the game, with some heavy patches of it and some less heavy patches of it. It really does simulate what it'd be like to drive in genuine patchy fog, which is nice because not only does it look visually very good, it adds that little bit of uncertainty because it's not static all the time. There's not a number of seconds worth of patchy fog and a set number of seconds of clear. It changes and it's unpredictable, and that little bit of unpredictability really does add something extra. You're never quite sure if when you turn around the next bend it's going to be one or the other, and so it does this one really well, I think. And now we come to one of my favourites, dense fog, because this takes the whole volumetric feel and just boosts it right up to 10. It really does add something a little bit extra to the game. Again, it looks fantastic. The whole colour scheme of the track looks very grey, very bleak. It takes that unpredictability that you got with the patchy fog and boost that up as well, because especially when you're travelling at speed, you're never quite sure what's around the next corner. Is there another corner? If you don't know the track off by heart, it's going to put you on the edge of your seat. Are there crashed cars or slow cars just ahead that you can't quite see yet? This one is definitely one of the better weather modes in the game. This one is definitely a thumbs up. Now, this one is called Aloc Cast Dry, and I'll be honest, I don't quite get this one. It doesn't appear to add anything different to what, say, Looming Clouds or Cloudy did. It's just a grey day, an overcast with obviously the skybox showing lots of clouds, but I don't see what else it does for the game, especially not when you go through the settings. They all seem to be getting progressively worse weather, and then suddenly this one pops in. It just didn't seem to change anything for me. Maybe there is something changed in the actual game physics. Maybe there was a little bit less grip on this. If there was, I didn't notice. This one, honestly, I think they could have left it out. I don't quite get it, but it's there and it's another option, I guess. Now, this one is called Aloc Cast Wet, and this one I do get because it actually changed the dynamics of the game. You could genuinely feel you had a little bit less grip on this weather setting. Now, it wasn't enough to put you onto wet tyres, but you couldn't drive the same, completely the same as you did using slicks. You had to be a little bit more careful going into some of the corners. You had to slow down a little bit, and that was nice. Whether this would have been a track that would have been good for intermediate tyres, which unfortunately is something Forza 8 doesn't have, who knows, but there's definitely, this is your transition stage between dry and wet, and yeah, this one works very well. And this weather setting is called Drizzle, or basically a very light rain. Now this does require you to make a few changes to your game. Mainly the first one is you need to put on the wet weather tyres. You really do, because you just can't drive in this on the slicks. The other thing is you'll notice we now have standing water and puddles, which look really nice, and if you do for any reason go slow enough, you'll be able to see the reflections of the track and what is in the distance in them. It's a nice graphical setting and it does look very good. The other thing we get with this is the first sign of the on-screen raindrops. Now, I'll talk about those a little bit more in the next clip. Now, this weather setting is called light rain, and well, it does exactly what it says on the tin. It's lighter rain. We get more standing water on the track, which is good. We get more reflections, which is still good. The sky and the whole atmospheric colouring, again, reflect very nicely the amount of rain that's falling. You can even see the raindrops zipping past the car as you pick up speed. We do, however, get more of the raindrops on the actual camera lens, and well, I'm not entirely sure if I like that. I can see why they've done it, because they want to add a little more depth to it to make the visual effect of it raining look even better, and I understand from that point of view. Luckily at this setting though, there's not that many raindrops on the screen, and so it's hardly noticeable until later on. And now we step it up a little bit to the setting called moderate rain, and whereas before we had puddles of standing water, that has now been replaced with a complete layer of standing water all over the track, and it looks really good. You can now see the reflections of other things on the track and all the buildings around the track in a lot of detail, and I think that looks fantastic. You do also notice the lack of traction now. The fact that the track is completely covered in water does become physically noticeable as you try to take various bends and braking. It really does allow the car to feel like it's more driving on a wet track, very realistically, and yes, we get more of those raindrops. And now things are starting to get really serious with the setting called heavy rain. Now, as you can expect, it's heavier than the previous two categories. There are more visible raindrops going past the car. There are more visible raindrops on the camera lens, unfortunately. Yes, we still have all the covering of water across the track and all those really nice looking reflections. There is definitely in this setting a even more obvious lack of grip, so you do have to be careful when approaching some of the bends, certainly the tighter bends, but this looks really good with the fact that they've now added a haze, a slight mist onto the track as well, that at least limits a little bit your view into the distance, and that works really well and looks really good. And finally we have Rainstorm, which is, well, exactly what it says. There's the most amount of visible rain falling, the most amount of raindrops on the camera lens, which now I still don't like. We have the best amount of visual reflections on the standing water and the surface water on the track. Talking of the track, you will definitely notice, as I did there, the lack of grip you get in this particular setting. The lighting is just that little bit darker, and the mist, the fog in front of you, just that little bit thicker. Everything goes together so nicely just to really give you that impression that it is raining really heavily, and this one is definitely one of my favourite settings. Oh, I said finally, didn't I? Well, that's not strictly true. There is just one more setting to come, and that setting is Thunderstorm, which, I'll be honest, I don't quite get. You see, you'd think it would be the worst one of the lot, especially with that name, but it isn't. The overall lighting seems brighter, not darker, which you'd maybe expect. The amount of grip on the track didn't seem any worse than the previous wet weather races. There is no visible sign of any extra rain. Hell, we don't even get the raindrops on the camera lens, and I'll be honest, I don't recall hearing any thunder or seeing any flashes of lightning, so I honestly don't really get this one. It's just like not any effort went into it. I mean, Thunderstorm, it's more like a bit of a washout really. And there you have it, all the weather effects in the new Forza Motorsport. Now, do I like them? Personally, yes, I think they're done well. Are they the best weather effects I've seen in any game ever? No, but they're not far off. Anyway, please leave a comment below, let me know what you guys think, especially about the raindrops, because I think that's going to be a love it or hate it kind of thing. And while you're doing that, please remember to smash those like and subscribe buttons. It does really help out the channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. For more great videos like this one, follow this link. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.